fries with that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joffrey Swait. Welcome to another Side of Fries. And look, we brought Gwen Burrow back.
I'm here. I'm the tater tot. He's the side of fries.
So the topic today is, so you want to be a writer? And the question we're going to answer today, is Gwen a writer? And am I a writer? So if you have had ambitions to be a writer, if you think of yourself as a writer and that creates a personal crisis, this is the Side of Fries for you. Gwen, are you a writer?
I would say yes, but I expect you want me to expound on that.
Please do. Okay. I'll let that be the content of the video.
Yes. What else?
Yeah.
Yes, I am a writer. Writing is not just simply when you get paid to do it, which is something that I think every writer or wannabe writer would probably wrestle with. It's like, am I really a writer when I haven't published something, when I'm not getting paid to it? Or you say you have a writing job that does pay, but it's not what you ultimately wish to be writing. You aren't the next J.K. Rowling or something like that. But you are a writer if you love words because you are made of them. You are made of words. I write because I am written. So if you do that, if you feel that, and if you are disciplined and churning out words, it could be Facebook exhortations, it could be blog posts, it could be the 7-year-old who has to get dragged out of their room at dinner time because they're churning out the next great American novel. You know what I mean? Like they're a writer.
Yep. And your use of the verb churn, which is so great, it kind of puts in mind 3 different ways we could use the term writer. And maybe we're going to get into that. So we might have someone who says that, hey, I'm written.
Yeah.
I feel like a writer in my heart. And that's all, right? And then you have someone who says, well, I'm a writer because I get paid for putting words to paper. Mm-hmm. And then the third one would be, I'm a writer because I write, whether I get paid or not. Mm-hmm. Like, can I just say I feel like a writer, so I am one? Or even like in my case, I am a skilled writer.
Okay.
I don't write much.
Okay.
Right? So am I a writer?
I guess it would depend on the context. Are you shaking hands and say at an airport because you bumped into somebody and they go, I'm a sales guy, what do you do? And you go, I'm a writer. Okay, in that context, that would be duplicitous because it seems like you're saying this is my career. But if you're a skilled writer who never really writes, I don't really think, I am not sure. I guess I feel like that gets a little bit,
and there, again, that would communicate. Areas.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that would just communicate the wrong thing, given how people generally ask the question. Yeah. Like if you were to say, oh, I don't get paid, but I'm a writer, then I know what you mean. If you don't qualify that question, then I know that I'm a writer means you get paid to do it. But if you can write but don't, then I ride horses, guys. Like,
right.
No.
Because I have ridden a
and
horse.
I'd go to the moon. Yeah. I'm sure I'd be fine.
Wow. Okay, so, but does there have to be a direct association to getting paid?
No. In fact, usually when you want to get paid as a writer, you have to write as a writer without getting paid first.
You have to work for free. You have to work for the love of the work.
Right. And one of the ways to do that, if I could share just some of I've been writing since I was 7, so that's almost 30 years now. And that started with journals and stories. Like I would just copy shamelessly the Lord of the Rings, like the whole quest, like they have to go find something and then come back. Yes. And then I would copy Laura House on the little Laura Ingalls, Little House by Laura Ingalls Wilder.
I'm glad you said something because I had it lined up.
You were
as soon as you stopped talking, I had something for you.
You were going to edit that sentence for me. Nope. But anyway, I would just shamelessly copy. Oh, Jurassic Park. I wrote Jurassic Park 2 before there was a Jurassic Park 2. I didn't get very far because you find out that it's just like, well, now what? And plus I was only like 8 or 9 or something. But at any rate, you start by, if you want to be a writer and you're not yet getting paid for it, I have found you have to pay yourself first. And of course, in finances, that idea means that when you get your paycheck, you set aside something in savings before you spend it on the things you have to. Mm-hmm. So that's what you do with your time. When you get the next 24 hours of your life, when you wake up in the morning, you pay yourself first. And that could be writing literally first thing before getting the kids up and going to school, or you head into the job that actually pays. Yeah. Or it could mean, for me, it's like get up, go to the gym, hit Bootsers for 2 hours, and then go to the day job where I'm also paid to write. But I wasn't for years and years. Yeah. I was a house cleaner. I was a tutor. I taught other kids to write before I got paid to write. But I think paying yourself first is one of the best disciplines to actually hone your craft and to discover whether you actually mean it. Do you have what it takes? Like everybody would like to have written a novel. Everybody would like to have written something cool.
Right.
But whether you actually have the grit to get it done and the gift and the desire, and if you discover you don't have any of those things, you're like, well, that's fine. Go find something else that you do. But don't just sit there talking about wishing to write.
Yeah, kind of going back to
or bemoaning the fact that you're not yet getting paid, so you feel like a fake, a poser. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just to kind of.
And I do think I think writing, being a writer, is one of those callings, I suppose, that creates a lot of angst about that, right? Like I've set all these articles and all these essays in, and no one's picking them up.
Right.
You know, no one's ever paid me for a science fiction story that I could put in some trashy magazine, like whatever it is, right? And so then, so like, am I even a writer? I spend a couple of hours every day, and I have a quota.
Sure.
Right. And
that's another important thing. The daily word quota would be huge.
Yeah, and actually, I think that a lot of what you're talking about, thinking of churn, and then thinking of just the grind, right? There's no work, there's no calling in life that isn't in some respect grindy.
Yeah, it's hitching yourself up to a plow, and you might love it, but you have to hitch yourself up to it, and you have to go to work.
And that's how you're truly going to know.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and going kind of rounding out the whole pay yourself first principle. When you do that, you discover whether you have the discipline, the desire, the grind. Yeah. But you also, the things that you end up having to do, like raise your kids if you're married, or get your day job done if you're single or a dad or whatever, or if you, like the laundry, the housework, the school, maybe you're a student, whatever it is that you have to get done, it will get done. So it's not, we were all taught, at least I was taught, to like work before play.
Yep.
And it felt so counterintuitive to play before work. But then you realize, no, I'm just working in one sense before working in another.
Yes.
And it gives me so much energy to get up in the day and get that done.
And this could, this would take us into a whole new video, but we really do have to redefine how we think about what work is.
Yeah.
Right?
I've just always loved work, but I'm kind of freaky that way.
People feel guilty when they have fun doing their work, right? If you love to cook, cooking is still work.
Yes,
like,
it
just
is.
go out and make good things.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to go out and make good things in a way that you don't enjoy.
That's true.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
But if what you want to do most is to work as a writer, work as a writer.
Yeah.
Right. And as
whether
you said,
or not
pay
you're getting
yourself
paid.
first.
Yeah.
So paying yourself first. Having quotas.
Daily word
being
quota.
regular.
Yeah.
Well, what about some of the bursty stuff like NaNoWriMo? Have you ever done NaNoWriMo?
I have not, because I would not do well with sprints.
Yeah.
No, I'm much more the laborious, way more laborious. I have way more of, I don't know, I just have not worked well writing what I know to be garbage. What I write, the first draft, is frequently garbage, but at least I have the delusion of thinking it could be good. Yeah. But when I write super fast and it's garbage, but again, that's actually something that would probably be a good.
Yeah, so that's just your style.
That would be good for me to push myself in that direction.
Just to clarify for listeners and for viewers, NaNoWriMo is this thing writers around the world decide in November I'm going to write a complete novel. Even if it's total trash.
It's going to be awful.
Right? You just know that. But I'm going to hit, tens of thousands of words, whatever the goal is. I forget it now. And I'll have something then you can refine.
In fact, I have a friend who wrote her novel that way. Like she then, of course, had to spend probably a couple of years to refine and refine and refine. But you get there's such a good discipline, especially for the people who tend to be perfectionists, and you feel like you're engraving this in stone, so you have to be absolutely perfect, and that's just paralysis because you're still writing something that needs to be rewritten. You just have the illusion of control and quality,
right?
And you don't have it.
So maybe we can kind of close with some concrete tips for how to get your butt in a seat in front of a typewriter. Let's make it a typewriter so it's slightly more romantic.
There's no delete on a typewriter, is there? I think for me, I've always had the trouble of being too disciplined, too obsessed. And my parents were like, no, that's not a good, that's just my, my thing. But so for me, I always have to think about, let's see, what tips are there? Well, don't be obsessive about it. Oh, wait, no, we have to think about the people who would rather be playing volleyball, but they have to do this. Think about what you actually want to do. It's like at the end of the day, if you have declared that you want to be a writer and you think there's a chance that God has made you one, then it is your calling to find out, or else shut up and quit talking about it.
And you can't magic yourself to that point, right?
No,
you have to realize it is a process. Start the process.
You have to start right now. The same way that you have to decide to get up and open the dryer and fold the clothes. The same way you have to decide you want to do dinner or clean the bathroom. Those would be, for me, things that I don't necessarily want to do. But I think, do I want to have done them? At the end of the day, do I want to have done them? Then it starts now, and do it now. So I don't have to think that way about writing. So it's helpful for me to think about, like, well, what's something that, like, I don't particularly want to do? So you just have to, like, people will call your bluff, as they should. Like, if you say you want to write, think about, it's like, well, you got to put up or shut up. So you have
a novel coming out in a few months, right?
Well, probably sometime this year. When?
Well, I thought that was the story. Like, someone told you.
No, actually, I was 7 years old and I was already writing stories. And then my grandma gave me I thought it was the most beautiful journal in the world. It was covered in flowers, like super girly flowers. And I started journaling. And then it was just, I realized I was a writer, even though I, of course, was not getting paid. It was like, the way that you breathe, that's the way I write. Like, if you told me, even then, you will never publish a book, ever. You will never get paid to write. I'd be like, well, that's a bummer. Anyway, see ya. I've got to go write. Like, I can't, you can't stop. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was me. Nobody called my bluff.
Okay. Well, and that's part of what this video is about, right? It's about the work, not about whether you're getting paid or not.
Yeah.
You're paying yourself. You're fulfilling this calling.
Yeah.
I mean, something that in my life I had for a few years that was a little bit like that was, I had a blog that people talked about and talked to me about, right? And so, so it's not the writer thing so much as it is, for a few years there, I was a blogger.
Yeah,
that was just my reality.
Yeah. And even if you're, sorry, go ahead. You're going to finish
just to say, like, there's no remuneration, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't matter.
Not monetarily, because
right,
the thing is, this probably needs to be said probably sooner, but writing is not for you. It is for God and it is for others. And I don't mean that in just like a pat catechism kind of way, but you are always serving your audience something.
Yes.
So when you sit there lovingly crafting a sentence that only a mother would love, you're like, what? No, you're not. I mean, I know writers who do that. And I'm like, you're not thinking of the people who you wish would want to write.
Yep.
And so you have to be thinking in service of others. So even if you're not getting paid with money, are you writing funny stories for your kids? Are you writing, like, I wrote a Western ballad for my nephews, and it was a retelling of Samson. And it was like, no, I'm not going to get paid for that. And it probably got a very bad grade in the grad program that I'm in.
Yeah.
But I wrote it for them. Or if, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
and I would say with that, like, it's not enough to simply be picturing an audience. So so far we have, pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Get your butt in the seat in front of the
sheer
typewriter.
bloody discipline.
Right.
Can I say bloody? I'm not English. I just like the way
Here
it sounds.
it's okay.
I probably shouldn't say that.
But so and then the final one really is, like, concretely and really write for other people.
Serve an audience.
It's not about, like, how big is the publisher that picked up my thing, but you do actually have to. Why else would you be in front of the computer
What's
at 6
your
in the
excuse?
morning?
Right. And, like, to tie it in with another local podcast, which is Stories Are Soul Food. Stories are soul food, or whatever you're writing. If it's a blog post, if it's an exhortation, if it's just an observation of reality, it is shaping other people's souls and catechizing their loyalties. And if you have kids, that could be a primary audience right there.
You're blessing somebody.
Yes, you should be. Yeah. For absolutely sure. Yeah.
So there are probably a lot of people watching this and are thinking, hey, I am a writer, or I am on the cusp of becoming a writer.
You're so close.
Thanks for coming in.
Go fight, win.